gal who cleans houses for a living, and you go in and the place is a complete wreck. You're better off almost seeing it that way, because you can really begin to clear it. So, yeah, we're just in that clearing process, which takes me back to tomorrow, with the solstice. It becomes a rather clearing day. You know, there's a word, it's spelled Liri, Leary. I think it's pronounced that way. And this connects itself to the Chinese calendar and the 4 pillars. The Leary energy is the day prior to the equinox or the solstice or a change of seasons. And it's a very powerful day. It's kind of like stop the action, clean out, get down and, kiss the ground and be thankful. But it's not the day to sow new seeds, and, it's just not. So it's a very interesting day.
That's great. I'm taking care of loose ends and doing errands.
Excellent.
Happy
Excellent.
to hear that.
Okay. Yeah. And clean your house. It's like that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Great.
So, all right, my friend, any other thought you had that you wanted to share, or you just were hopping right in for that one?
Yeah, hopping in for that one. It came to mind that I think Maya Angelou, Dr. Maya Angelou, the author and writer, if someone spoke negatively in her house, she kindly asked them to leave. Like, she's known for policing that.
Yes.
Really, you don't want it in your walls.
No.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
She held it to a high standard.
Yeah. These poor people didn't have a clue that it was inappropriate, particularly he. The gal, she didn't know me from Jabib. But he thought it was funny. He thought it was a ha-ha.
Yes.
And he even at some point used the words woo-woo. Now that I became a Maya Angelou. And I stopped right in my tracks and said, I got to tell you, I find that word particularly offensive, diminutive, dismissive. It's not an appropriate word. And I think people have got to get over that. I've even actually seen and heard of so-called spiritual people refer to themselves as they're in this woo-woo thing. I want to thump them on the forehead. Stop. Jeepers, creepers. Talk about self-flagellation. No. Yeah. And if we can't raise this thing out of the dark trenches where it's been, we've been murdered for this stuff, many lifetimes. That's done. And that's over. Right. So now we have to stand up with conscious expression of every syllable out of our mouth, or none.
Yeah, and not apologize for who we are and what our skills are and how it's vision. Just because someone else doesn't understand how it happens, where it comes from, how you can live that way, it doesn't matter. If you're coming from a place of love and information and being genuine, it's authentic.
That's
if you're being
right.
authentic, that's where you need to be.
Yeah. No, it's very interesting to be kind of, as we all are, on the front line of stuff and see where are people in their hearts and minds and mouths. And if we can make a little adjustment now and then, fine. Sometimes it's not worth it. It's just not worth the struggle or the contention. And that's just, you have to figure out what's worth it and what's not. It's kind of like...
or they're not ready.
Yeah. It wouldn't fall on deaf ears, but I'm always saying to myself, is this the time I speak up or shut up?
Oh, I see.
And that's minute to minute. That's a constant assessment. Speak up time? No, shut up time.
Yeah.
Well, I'm loving you, my friend. So thank you for calling in, and have a beautiful afternoon.
Thanks, you too.
Okay. Bye. We're going to spend a little bit of time here on the gene keys. I think that's more important. Well, I don't know. They're equally important. The gene keys or your whole personal infrastructure. We're going to take the gene keys today. Yep, that's what I've been shown, so that's what we're doing. And the gene keys, it's like a hologram, and it shows you as a hologram, which, of course, we are. We are a hologram. And so the reason I wanted to go to the gene keys, actually for the next 4 days, for those of you who have the material, the number 9 gene key is the one to focus on, okay? And what are the gene keys? For those of you who just tuned in and don't have a clue what the heck I'm talking about, there's a subtitle to the gene keys, Unlocking the Higher Purpose Hidden in Your DNA. And the author is Richard Rudd, and you actually can go online to his website and get what is called your personal profile. It's a bit overwhelming, but that means you just need to be more patient and dig through it a little more calmly, and you'll at least be able to figure out how to print out your profile. You can actually go to something called Gene Keys, Keys, and it's Gene, Gene, so Gene Keys, goldenpath.com. And there you have your hologenetic profile, and it's a complete journey of inner contemplation. And it really gives insight to who you are. In the old days, which would now be 4 or 5 years ago, when I printed out my profile, I got like about 7 pages of information that was lovingly given for free. Well, somebody spoke with me this past week. They went online to print it out. They're no longer that generous, which is too bad, because Richard is the entity that brings this forward, and now there's a whole lot of entities that want to have their finger in the pie, and so now it seems you just get that profile. That's okay. It's better than nothing. Take what you can get for free. I would not at this point pay, I think she said $60 or $80 for the next 7 pages. No, we'll talk about it. We're not going to do that. Okay, so now, and it's a massive book, okay? And it's an invitation to begin a whole new journey in your life. And it's a universal code book for exploring the transformation of your consciousness. So it's pretty darn powerful stuff. And it is over 600 pages. No, I take that back. It's like 500. Oh, it's a mere 535 or something like that. You can handle that. And with it is daunting when you see it. So first off, you could simply open somewhere. And here's what I just simply opened to right this second. I jumped away from number 9, and my fingers opened to number 29. And in my margin, because I'm such a writer in the margins, evil is simply everything about life that has not been accepted and embraced. What a concept. Evil is simply everything about life that has not been accepted and embraced. It puts a whole different slant on your labeling and judgment of so-called evil. And I'm telling you, the worst offenders about evil are the so-called spiritual people. When someone says to me, if they say about me, I am so spiritual, that one I correct them immediately. That is ridiculous because there's nothing but spiritual. It's all spiritual. Just different degrees of manifestation. So we have to get off our high horse about this evil versus good thing and embrace all that we don't want to embrace and accept all that we don't want to accept. You know, the reason I could move through that slight little thing about, you know, I'm from the land of woo-woo and I talk to angels, was actually after they left, I calmly sat down, I embraced the hurt, I accepted it, I embraced their own ignorance, accepted it, and normally something that would have taken a long time to kind of move itself out, it just dissipated. And the only reason I bring it up is it becomes an example through which you can learn. Because without examples, I'd just sort of be sitting here whistling Dixie. So I use examples. You know, the best person I know to exemplify is myself. Because, it's happening to me. Or if I hear some of your stuff and think, wow, that's pretty cool, then I drag that onto the air as well. So I'm going to take you back to this gene, the 9th gene key. So for 4 days in the galactic system, the number 9 key is very, very important. And a key, to those of you who have the I Ching, it is the number 9 I Ching hexagram. It's one and the same thing. So Richard, in Richard's work, speaks of a shadow, a gift, and something called a siddhi, S-I-D-D-H-I. And a siddhi it's bigger than the gift, and it's something that's a little more challenging to even access because of its largeness. So what's in front of us for the next 4 days, it comes from something called the Ring of Light. And it speaks of the power of the infinitesimal. And that's why the first half of this show has been sort of devoted to almost seemingly insignificant, infinitesimal thoughts, like watch your mouth, what are you saying, put down the rumors. It doesn't seem like much, but this key actually addresses it. The part of it says here, the Chinese sage Lao Tzu uttered the famous statement, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. Although a more accurate translation might be, the journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath one's feet. And I like that translation much better because it says your journey for your life is right under your feet. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything special. It begins with your focus, with your concentration, with your sense of expanded awareness. That's where it begins. And then that practice of this minute will take you to the next minute. This morning I was speaking with just such a lovely being, and she met with her father over the weekend, and dear Dad has some very big human issues, and they're painful for this loving daughter to see. And then her concern for me this morning was, what do I do when he dies? And I was so happy to be so present that the answer was very easy to access and therefore share with her. I think she would have gotten the answer, but sometimes I get a little impatient and go, oh, I got the answer. But the answer was, you're only on Tuesday morning. There's nothing else to talk about. That's the journey. That's the journey under your feet right now. And so by the time something happens to this dear man and his spirit departs, if she doesn't project onto a storyline down the road, she will have the grace, the clarity, and if needed, the stamina, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, to do whatever has to be done, if anything. So don't write your stories for down the road. Right this moment, you're only on Tuesday at 10 to 4, something like that.